Hey y'all, I'm Pete Thorn. I'm hanging out with my friends from Guitar Center today, and we are going to take a look at my signature PT100 all-tube 100-watt guitar amplifier and matching speaker cabinet from Suhr. I got my start off playing in bands, and at some point I sort of segued into a session career as well as being a touring sideman with folks like Chris Cornell and Melissa Etheridge and Don Henley and people like that. And then eventually I've kind of moved into the whole online YouTube guitar video, lessons, gear videos, all that kind of stuff. And I bet if you know me, that's probably where you folks know me from out there, is from YouTube. The PT100 amplifier really was born out of John Suhr seeing me and saying, "What are you doing using 3 amplifiers at once?" I used one for clean, I used one for my dirty rhythm sounds, I'd switch in a whole nother head for leads. And he said, "This is crazy, this is too much stuff. Why don't you let me make you one amplifier where you can get all your sounds out of one head?" About 6 months later, John gave me a call, said, "Come on out to the factory, I got an amp for you to look at." And I drove on out to the factory, and there it was, the first Suhr PT100 amp. And he had actually written on the front of it, PT100, which wasn't something we had talked about doing. It wasn't like we were designing a signature amplifier. He just said, "I'm gonna make you an amp." And I got out there and it was silkscreen PT100 on the front. He said, "Oh, I just thought I'd do that for you." And I was like, "That's amazing." So it's actually like really organic, the way that it happened. It was a 3-channel amp, had an awesome clean channel in it that's basically derived from our favorite old school amps from Fullerton, the kind of the twin and the super, that circuit is somewhere in there. So it's a great American style clean sound. And then channel 2 and 3 were derived from our favorite amps from England, but modded, tweaked, just dialed in to what John thought I would like. And it was very, very, very close right off the bat, the first incarnation of the amp, to what I would be happy with. But we did make some tweaks. Over the next few years, it was a process of making suggestions. And, I toured the amp a lot. I took it on tour with Chris Cornell. I used it at hundreds of shows. I basically just kept refining it with him. I would drive out once in a while out to the factory and make little tweaks. We'd change a cap, change a resistor. And it was almost like, when you go to the eye doctor and they're like flipping the thing in front of your face saying, "Is this better? Is this better? Is this better? Is this better?" It was like that with caps and stuff. John had the amplifier open on the bench and he'd literally like solder something in and then take it out and say, "What do you like better?" And this process of refinement, that was really amazing. The power amp in the amp, it's once again 100 watts, built around an EL34 plexi-style output section. I am like the plexi, that's my home base. That's the kind of like desert island guitar tone for me. So an amp, first and foremost, has to be able to do that thing really well. So that's what we were working towards with this amplifier primarily. But then, of course, it's got the great American style clean channel, which mates great with that power amp anyway. American style clean on channel 1, you've basically got a bright switch and a crunch switch to kind of up the gain on that channel. It's got its own independent EQ on that channel with a bass, middle, treble, its own gain control, its own master control. Channels 2 and 3 share a 3-band EQ, so you got bass, middle, treble over there, but you got independent gain for channel 2 and independent gain for channel 3, independent master for channel 2 and independent master for channel 3. That allows you to set up different volumes and different gain levels for each of those 2 channels. And then you've got a shared bright switch on that channel, so you can get a brighter sound or a little bit warmer sound very easily. There's also a built-in MOSFET boost on this amplifier. So that is like a gain stage in front of the entire amplifier that you can turn on in front of any of the channels and just get more gain, more sustain, more drive out of any of the channels. So it's almost like you've got 6 levels of both volume and gain that you can preset on this amplifier or, kind of switch around between at any time. There's also a really, really awesome effects loop that you can use in series or parallel with your effects. It's properly buffered. It's one of the best effects loops in the business. I commonly run long cable lengths all the way out to my pedal board. I'm talking like 30 feet send, 30 feet all the way back to the loop. And with my board, I can literally switch that loop in and out, and I can't hear any difference at all. It's just one of the best loops in the business. On the back of the amplifier, you've also got controls for negative feedback. The negative feedback in an amplifier is a neat feature that when you can adjust it, it's really cool because it allows you to kind of get a softer, a little bit more compressed feel, chill the amp out a little bit, or a little bit more bolder sound, a little bit brighter and a little bit more bold just at the turn of a knob. So that's on the back of the amplifier. Really nice to have that feature. There's also a switchable depth on the back, so you can get 3 different levels of depth. That's basically like almost like subby lows and fatness, like real deep sound that you can get out of the amp. So if you want a little tighter sound, a little leaner, or a little bit more authority, or a bunch of that low sub bass coming out of the amp, you can get that no problem with the depth. There's also a return master volume on the back of the amplifier. So what that is when you switch in the effects loop switch on the back, that volume control becomes active. It becomes your return for your effects, and it also can serve as a master volume control for all 3 channels. So once you've got your perfect blend of volumes between channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3, you've then got that one overall control on the back of the amp that you can set the overall output level of the amplifier with really easily. I always use that. Very rarely do I ever have the loop switched out and that I'm not using that control. I've generally always got it switched in and I'm using it as my master volume. So the amplifier features full MIDI control, and it includes its own MIDI foot switch. You can switch between channel 1, 2, and 3, and also toggle on and off the boost using the included foot switch. But you can also use external MIDI control if you want. If you got some sort of controller switcher, the amp will respond to MIDI program change as well as CC MIDI messages. Okay, so let's check out the clean channel first. Right now, just got a little bit of echo and reverb happening in the effect loop of the amplifier. I've got the gain on about 4. I've just got it set up with the bright switch on. It's for a really nice sparkly clean. Let's just give it a listen. Just a really pure, awesome American style, sparkly clean. I'll turn off the bright so you can hear a little bit of the effect of that. And it's a little darker. The bright back on. So it's just a really great, pure, clean sound that you can augment with effects. Let me play it completely clean so there's no extra stuff on there so you can just hear with no effect or anything. And back to adding just a little bit of stuff in the loop. We're miking the matching speaker cabinet right now. This cabinet has greenbacks in the top 2 speaker slots and then V30s in the bottom from Celestion. So you can mic whatever you want. You got a nice blend there of the different style of speaker. So right now we're miking the greenback in the top of the cabinet here. So this guitar's in drop D, so I'm gonna switch over to my other guitar that's in standard, just play a little bit more through the clean channel. So this clean channel, you can actually push into crunch really easily by pushing this switch right here that's labeled crunch. Let's do that and listen to the gain difference. So that's with the gain only on about half and the crunch switch in, the bright switch on. Let me take the bright out, I'll turn the gain up even more, get a darker kind of, even more driven sound than that. You definitely get some grind. It sounds like a broken up, really loud American amplifier when it's driven like that, but it still stays tight. That's one thing that's really nice about this channel. It's fat, but it never really gets flubby. So I really like that about it. But yes, you can grind it up and drive it as well. It's not just for pretty cleans. On the floor here, I got a couple pedals. There's a Suhr Riot distortion pedal. So this channel takes pedals really good. So if you got your distortions or your overdrives, you want to get some like alternate drive sounds to what you can get out of the drive side. So it'll take your overdrives, your distortion pedals, your fuzzes, really great going into channel 1. Okay, so let's go from channel 1 over to channel 2 now. This is the crunch channel. Once again, this is kind of where my heart lies. It's like plexi-style. I mean, people would consider it mid-gain. Back in the 70s, that was high gain. This is really kind of the heart of the amplifier. This tone, I feel like a really great, stringy, British-inspired overdrive. And when I say stringy, one of the things about an amp to me is that there's got to be a balance between the single notes not being too skinny, and then when you play complex chords, still being able to hear all the notes of a chord and there being definition. So that's kind of why I chose that little riff. Because if you... There's some really close intervals going on in there, like actually a minor second, which is like as close as you can get. So it's like, in order for those notes to ring true and ring clear together, not just turn into muck, the amplifier's got to have a really great definition in the sound. And that's something that I'm always like striving for, is tightness and clarity and definition. When you get up high, you don't want it to be too skinny. You know, you want the notes to ring out clear, but with a fatness to them. It's a fine balancing act. And that was part of like kind of what I was talking about when we tuned the amplifier, and John and I going back and forth between caps and all the coupling stages between the tube stages and stuff, and making sure that the amplifier is retaining clarity and got a very, very musical voice to it without getting, you know, bloated and not getting too skinny as well. So it's all these factors that come into play when you're designing a tube amplifier. And the more kind of gain you pile on, distortion you pile on, the more this stuff becomes really important. That definition in the tone is something I just love out of this amplifier. I grew up loving bands like King's X as well, as a great example, as well as Van Halen. And both those bands, I mean, there's a lot of overtones and stringy stuff going on. It's not just roots and power chords. There's a lot of like high notes going on, then low notes going on, complex chords ringing together. It's just got to speak really clearly. So, you know, if you like that stuff like I do and those guitar players, this amplifier will really work well for you. All right, so let's go from channel 2 on over to channel 3 now. So that's moving from the crunch channel to the channel 3, the lead channel, what I consider the lead channel. I got the gain up a little bit. I got the volume up a little bit. Let's check it out. Good stuff. We like that. All tube, crank and gain. It's delicious. This seems like a good time right now to turn on the boost. So the MOSFET boost that I mentioned before, I can get even another layer of sustain and gain and good searing guitar tone out of that. Let's check it out. So that's really your ticket to endless sustain and to singing, searing guitar tone goodness. So here's a really cool feature about the MIDI foot switch. You can actually have the boost switch on any channel that you select. So in other words, the way the foot switch operates normally, just going between channel 1, 2, 3, and then I'm independently switching the boost on and off right now. I can simply turn on the boost and then hold down, let's say channel 3 for a couple seconds. The little light flashes on for channel 3 there. Now, if I go back to channel 2 and back to 3 again, you're gonna see the boost comes on right when I go to channel 3. So you can preset the boost to come on with any one of the channels on the amplifier. It's pretty cool. If you decide that's not what you want, you can turn off the boost, hold down channel 3 again. Now it does a new preset. Now it's just like before where the boost is independent. So hopefully that makes sense. So you can have that boost switch on with any one of the 3 channels if you like. I really feel like the amplifier, to be in all honesty, it's just been like a great partner for me over the years in tone. I can always rely on it. I can get just about any guitar sound that I need out of the PT100. I just know that it's going to be there for me and that it's going to sound impressive. So that's all I can say about the PT100. It's fantastic. So if you want to learn more about the PT100, check it out at guitarcenter.com or contact one of their expert gear advisors. You can also go into a local GC and hopefully catch one there. I hope you get to play through one. Love to hear what you think about it. Thanks so much for watching. I am Pete Thorn. Thanks Guitar Center, and thanks to Suhr.